It's, I'm even one of my main promoters. Shit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but listen. So I go over there, y'all. I'm like, it's a bunch of barbershop talk. And LeBron just got his fifth ankle bracelet or whatever they talking about, right? I'm like, hey, bro, I come over here to ask you what's your premise for the debate for February 8th. My motherfucking premise is you the bitch ass nigga. You will never get no motherfucking race reparation, you black ass goddamn. I'm like, why should I waste my time with something like that? If I can, and then listen, okay, go ahead and speak. I'm giving you the opportunity to speak. Go ahead. And then when it's my turn, okay, look here, this is what I got. He can't shut the fuck up. That all that energy come up, all them when we doing lines in, we wasn't calling each other bitch ass nigga, whole ass. We gave each other time to speak in the ring. These niggas over there from Solar Vision, what they do is it's a culture of cussing each other out, chasing out these goddamn women that's in the back chat with them, and they stuck in that fishbowl. The lines that we went out to different platforms, whooping motherfuckers' ass, putting out music. They imitate what the fuck we do in the back chat and the debates. Trust and believe that. So this is why I hunt these motherfuckers down. Because they try to tear down what was built. The 48, these niggas didn't know about no fucking 48. They had 100 motherfuckers in your back chat. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You couldn't push the goddamn video thing unless you had over 48. Figured it out. So what I'm saying, and then once I figured it out, then I was like, then y'all can stream this shit? Karima, Ivory, Black Jesus, and Jeremiah, please shut up. Oh shit, this shit finna blow up. So I'm already doing fucking live streams and watch parties on goddamn Facebook. But we can stream it to YouTube. I don't know about this shit. So where are these punks? Y'all remember, we called these bitch ass niggas out a long time ago. We made a whole fucking video. Get the clock out. Come on, man. We got all these seats of this shit. So this is why I be so angry with them motherfuckers trying to check down the origins of some of this shit that we do. Yeah, a lot of us started back here together and it branched out, started different shit. And these niggas don't even know, especially these new ones. So where is Taz? I have hunted down y'all remember when they came over to the platform? We was doing our tournament and they seen us shining. They want to be a part of it. I said, all right, this is what we do. We'll let y'all come over here. We want to whoop y'all up anyway. Me and Cube set that shit up. I said, go get them niggas. Go get them. They come over there. They come over to the set. And we like, Kumbaya, don't want to date King Seth. Chris Edge scared of Jeremiah. Supposed to debate me. What the fuck is this? We drinking Kool-Aid reading comic books. So I called each and every one of them out. I got it on fucking tape. None of them wanted to fucking smoke. And it's been a war with the niggas ever since. I didn't Domo. I got a video of me whooping his ass. I went over to his set. Cuba whooped the shit out of him. Chris Harris, motherfucking who the others? The whole crew. I'm telling you. Oh, another group come over there on Sunday TV. Look at what you can do the Exodus, huh? Can you? Where? Huh? Where the bones? The Red Sea.
Hey, JJ, I was reading. You know about the Book of Jackson, right?
That's more up your alley, man. You was teaching me about the calendar and
No, not that. You don't know there's a king in the book of Jackson called Malone, right? And I'm just going out based off what I did with my independent studies. And it was talking about Malone ruled in Egypt for like 94 years. And then I looked at the Kemetic kings list and I found that there was one king that matched that, and it was Pepi II. He ruled for 94 years, and then he had a son that ruled shortly, and then there was a decline in Egypt. Mm-hmm. And then when I read in the Book of Jackson, listen, I don't know if that's like as much evidence or something like that, but I like kind of find it strange that the Bible talk about this Egyptian king that ruled the same time, with the same long reign a rulership as what history was saying about Pepe II.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I was saying.
Well, you have cultural exchange. You see what I'm saying, Corey? A lot of these, I mean, they all in the same area, so some of the guys gonna be flip flop here and there. So that's not outside of reality. What you just said, you know, we just don't know because a lot of stuff is lost. You know what I mean? But back to
So when
set.
I saw that, because a lot of the
It
people
could be
that read
found
that,
though, because we in the age of information. So books and knowledge, things could be found. It's just you gotta know where to look and all that type of stuff. But things is definitely lost. Some things is burnt. Some things is banned. But there's ways to get around things.
when I discovered that, I said, "Oh shit!" So this might have some validation right here, because I hear a lot of people, especially I remember Tahuti was talking about, show us anything that history says about the Pharaoh that aligns with the Bible, that has like credibility, like a timeline or something, a long time of rulership. I seen that shit to Tahuti. I said, Tahuti, you remember when you said this? And I showed him you saying that. Show us the timeline, like a comparative reign between two pharaohs to see if any reign, because he don't. A lot of people don't know that the book of didn't read the book of Jasher. I actually read the books that's taken out of the Bible more than the books that's in the Bible, because they actually explain a lot of shit better. Like, here's the thing, like in the Bible, it just called him Pharaoh. We don't know what Pharaoh is talking about. But when you go into the book of Jasher, we get a name, we get how long he ruled, we get how many kids he had, and how he died and everything. So I was like, 94 years,
Okay, so
and one king, one king that came after him, and then after that king that ruled for a short, but the difference is this king that ruled after Pharaoh Malo, it was his son who was short in stature, and he only ruled for like 1 year in history, but the Bible said 4 years, and then there was a decline. And that's how you go from the old kingdom to the middle kingdom. There's a decline after that. And history is talking about it was some economic ruins. And we know that how did a kingdom so powerful as Egypt, how did they economically collapse?
I got you. I got you. So this how it goes. You gotta follow the pyramids and the archaeology on this one. So they used to build a megalithic, but once they figured out how to build using smaller materials, smaller shit, it was more cost effective. So back in the day when they was using all that big shit, they was blowing a lot of money. So a lot of the times the kingdoms, the people that are taking over, the nigga before them might have already blew most of the money. So by the time the next pharaoh come up, it ain't even no damn too much money left.
I'm talking about it was a gradual economic decline. It didn't have nothing to do with like overextended payments. It was like a economic decline that was so much that they ended up like their kingdom ended up falling pretty much.
Well, first when you got Egypt, you don't even get Egypt until the unification of the north and south, tribal areas and shit like that. So that's like 3000 BC right there. Now we're talking pyramids. You're gonna go with the Step Pyramid, Bozier, you know what I'm saying? The Giza pyramids, you know what I'm saying? If you want to start touching on those are gonna be way ahead of time before that. But you still got civilizations booming. I wouldn't say the decline. Shit. I mean,
I'm saying like they went from this top ruling empire, and then they just went down. Not them not existing or going into ruins. It's just they lost a vast amount of power and a different type of power structure. They lost a lot of land.
they had a different pantheon change. They had a different pantheon. They had the original pantheon, then they changed it, and then they went back to the original. And in that middle, in the midst of that changing shit, that's when shit was supposed to get fucked up.
Can you give to Courtney state your premise again? Because I'm kind of. Are you trying to connect like hold up the Exodus to? I mean, what are we doing here, real quick, so we can get everybody on point? Go ahead.
What I was saying was that when I was reading in the book of Jasher, it talked about how long this king ruled. There was a king in Egypt that the Bible called Malone. In Hebrew, it's Ma'al or something like that. And it said that he ruled for 94 years. And then when I looked at the Committed Kings list of the different kings that ruled in the Old Kingdom, the last king that ruled was a king named Pepi II. And he also ruled for 94 years.
Okay, I get it.
He ruled for 94 years.
Yeah.
And they got the money for that?
That's what I'm talking about. Cultural exchange.
I'd have to see the stories, but then again, it's Pepe though, but he's changing, like, I think it's people picking up his title or his name.
Yeah.
Because it's multiple Pepes. It ain't just one. These different figures and shit. So that's them.
It's Pepi II. It's that specific Pepi. You got
you had a kid that ruled for like a year, I think, like maybe a year or two. He was 9 years old or 6 years old when he took the throne.
And guess what? The book of Joshua talked about that. He ruled for a year. And he ended up, and then that's when the mass exodus started happening, and that's when his rulership was declined after that. They said that his name in the Bible, his name was Pharaoh Akuz, which a Dakim in Hebrew. They say in a Committed tongue, Akuz or AKZ says something about short in structure or in stature or something like that, because this king was supposed to be like a midget.
Mm-hmm.
But
just to be a comedic, and you've been studying this. You was a comedic before you switched over to your doctrine or your spirituality to be an Israelite.
Yeah.
No, that tends to happen too.
When I was a kid, when I was in the Comedicism. I didn't study that. I started studying that when I started studying about Hebrew and started putting them with the book of Jasher and things like that. And so I was like, so now this got some historical validation now, because whether y'all say it's cultural exchange or not, it's going by what it's still confirming what history. I mean, history is still confirming what it said.
I mean, do you have Hebrew drawn on the Egyptian walls? Do y'all have a whole Hebrew drawn on the walls in Egypt? I don't want to see a script or a scroll or a text. I would like to see a physical picture on the wall, carved the fuck out.
Listen, all I was just saying was I was just bringing a little bit of the historical validation using them specific timelines.
You know how many names a different group of people been changed to? This and that, some different names. Some people can't speak the names.
Yeah, but that rain didn't. The length of that rain didn't change.
So who was his family members then, or who was his parents? If he ran for 94, go and drop the source on that or pull it up.
I was about to say his parents got to be like 200 years old.
No, it said he ruled at 6 years old. He ruled as a little child, and he died at 100.
But 3,000 years ago, motherfuckers probably lived longer.
He took the throne at 6, and
his parents would have to live longer, because if he died at 100, when did they die?
That's how they did it.
My African teachers, that's definitely how they did it.
This is where comprehension comes into play. He's talking about the reign of a particular dynasty, and that is successive ruler from father to son within a lineage. So there was dynasty that lasted 96 years, not one a single ruler. But again, freedom comprehension isn't for everyone.
You absolutely right. They carry over like Tahuti.
That does sound a little better.
Not real. Tahuti's point where some of this guy named his name is Pepi, and then he lasted 4,000 years. That might have just been 200 years. That might have just been his family continuing with the name. So yeah, that's plausible.
Is this on the Valley of the Kings?
The Florence King list. Is it on those King lists? We can go look up their timelines right now.
But hold on.
The timelines of their rulership. Pepi II, 94 years. Pharaoh Malone in the Bible of the Exodus, 94 years. It's pretty much saying that Pharaoh Malone was Pepi II.
Can we get the clock?
No.
Can we get the clock out? Everybody engaged, man.
Yeah. You got to source that up. Yeah. Because that just because I'm gonna say this, just because one culture did something for 94 years, and then you read something in your doctrine that did something for 94 years, don't mean they're the same.
Can I?
Okay, well then you have to show me another king that ruled 94 years in Egypt during the time of the Exodus. There ain't no other king. There was only one king that ruled that long. It was Pepi II. And the Bible saying that Malone is Pepi II. Malone ruled 94 years.
So what you're saying, because let me get this straight to Corey. So what you're saying is that, so I just want to be clear. What you're saying is that you look at the Bible says something about it, but when you go to book of Jasher, the book of Jasher is more, it gives more detail, and then you were able to go to the King's list and it kind of lines up. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, like the reigns are the same. There's no other king on that King's list that was 94 years. Not even a worldwide accepted pharaoh that everybody say that the Exodus happened, which they say is Thutmose or Ramesses. Because they're only saying Ramesses simply due to the fact that because when the Bible said they built Pathros and Ramesses, well, it wasn't really talking about Ramesses because remember, Moses existed according to the dates that we use today, existed before the Ramesses. So they couldn't be building a city to Ramesses when Ramesses wasn't even born yet. None of the Ramesses wasn't born yet. But what the Bible was actually trying to say is that they were building a city in Egypt dedicated to Ra. Because remember, Ramesses' name...
Nigga like damn tough talking, I ain't entertaining this stupidity. I'm out of here.
Okay, bye. You see how that nigga ran? But anyways, so Ramesses, they didn't build the city to Ramesses, and they built the city to Ra. Ramesses didn't exist during the time of Moses. The people in the Ramesses bloodline, they existed, I think, like 100 years before Moses, according to the dates that they give us. So it wouldn't make no sense for them to build a city dedicated to a pharaoh that didn't exist till 100 years later. They were talking about the city of Ra. When you look at Pathros in the hieroglyphs, it's a dedication or it's an attribute to Ra. Like they got a determinative for the sun, which represent Ra. So they were building a city to Ra. So this so the Exodus, it couldn't have happened during after the Hyksos. It had to happen during the old kingdom going into the middle kingdom. So whether it was cultural exchange, if it was cultural exchange, it still shows historical validation. Because you got a group that everybody can confirm is historical, and they exchanging information with people that they claim is not historical, and why they exchanging information about the Exodus, if that's the case, if the Exodus didn't happen. So, what I was just saying was that there's one evidence of historical validation from the Bible, but it happens to be a non-chronological record or non-chronological text. That's what I was saying.
I don't understand what the whole thing.
I'm gonna try to look for the information, but I'm gonna pull out the book of Jasher, and then I'm gonna pull out the timelines. And I'm gonna post it in the back chat.
He right though. I'm reading it right now. But it says that Bilal identification, chapter 77, the book of Joshua states from Bilal, his father reigned 94 years in Egypt, but he was 10 years sick and died, for he had been wicked before the Lord. And then the connection is to Pepe II. Sixth dynasty. Sixth dynasty. Pepe II, sixth dynasty, who was credited in the 12 kings list. The 12 kings list. The Benito with a 94-year reign. The book of Exodus doesn't mention Malone or 4 years. The book of Exodus provides because of the long period, suggesting the same Pharaoh reigned throughout the significant portion of the oppression. Story. Right.
What'd you say? You breaking up?
So no, I was just reading what you were saying. I just read a little bit on what you were saying and how the Bible doesn't give the name or the number, but the book of Jasher does. It goes into detail about it, and most scholars line it up to be Pepe II in the sixth dynasty. Sixth dynasty.
Yeah, it was saying Pepe II.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I was like, man, so how could the like how could the Bible and history, not only just history, but the committed list be correct if all this shit is fake? And he's the only king that was said to rule 94 years. There's no other kings out there. Not even the kings that a lot of the Hebrews say that he ruled. I mean, because a lot of the Hebrews, the problem with the Hebrews when they debate the Exodus, they have to use the criteria of the Bible. But the problem is, the Bible don't say nothing too much about the Pharaoh. So you really can't really do anything with the Bible, with the chronological text, because it just says Pharaoh. There's many pharaohs in ancient kingdom. Which one?
Yeah, he was the only one. Like he's the only one in the world that was cited for reigning 94 years. He's the only one throughout history, throughout world history, that was credited for ruling for 94 years. Pepe II.
The only history. The only pharaoh.
The only king in history. Period. Nobody else.
Based off how long he ruled, we know which pharaoh it is. It's not Thutmose the Fourth. It's not Ramesses. None of them ruled that long. And as a Hebrew, you're supposed to follow what the Bible says.
So
If the Bible,
he could probably say that it was only 62 to 64 years, and that the 94 years comes stems later from less accurate or potentially misinterpreted ancient sources.
You said what?
No, I'm just saying that they tried to lessen the number. They lessened the number to 60, between 62 and 60.
Yeah, but you wanna know the craziest thing about it? They did that, but they don't got a timeline that shows that he only ruled 67 or 60 some years. So if they were going lie, they would have at least changed the timeline too. But they up the timeline. Now they look suspicious now. You should have changed the timeline to match what you said. But it matched 94 years or around 94 years.
Mm.
That's the thing. A lot of these niggas in the academic world, they're trying to hide the Exodus and hide all this stuff. They a lot of times they fuck around and fuck up on their shit, and they don't have all their shit together. And so they ended up exposing themselves as not being accurate or pretty much lying about their shit. Why didn't they change the goddamn timeline to 67?
I always ask the question to Christians, why did who I mean, they claim that the non-canonical books came like hundreds of years later, and I guess that's why they said that they weren't, they don't know who wrote them, they're not true, or somebody wrote it about these other people. But in history, they take other people's knowledge or writings as fact, even though they were not around for the time that they wrote about. Mm-hmm.
That's called hypocrisy.
Yeah, I know. Because they take Manito and all these other people's writings as fact, but then say these books can't be real because guess what? The people weren't there. Well, I always wonder, like, why is it a big deal they don't really want people to read those apocrypha books.
I know I have a few apocryphal books. They're actually very, very interesting. But a lot of them, if you lose them, you can't get them back, or it's going to be a difficult time getting them. You're going to need to know somebody or something like that. But yeah, they definitely have been deleting a lot of information in books, and to the point where if certain people don't have them and then they share it around or whatever the case, you won't get them back. But that's odd because it was a flood of them.
My father's ex-wife, she taught me a long time ago, never lend out your books. She taught me a long time ago, never lend out your books because you don't get them back. Yeah. I don't know, everybody just got quiet.